Now, in today's video, we're going to take off the heat exchanger and possibly the water pump to put a new impeller in it. The reason I want to take the heat exchanger off is when the engine's running, I get a slight bit of back pressure on it. And at idle, you know, around 500 RPM, there's some white smoke coming, which as soon as I get to 700 RPM, that clears. Now, it could be dirty fuel because it lay for 3 years on land, unused, and there was around 100 litres of fuel in the tank. The tank's a 150 litre tank, and there was a huge amount of diesel bug in it. I pumped everything out of the tanks, but they're so tight that you can't really get into them, and there's no inspection hatch or anything like that. So what I done just to get the boat home was I bypassed that, and I've been running out of tanks. But that does mean that I've got hose joined and going in through the filter and things. So at some point in the near future, I'm going to reinstate these tanks once I find a way to clean them and get any remaining diesel bug out the bottom. And then I'll reinstate the tanks. Sorry, there's people walking up and down. It's a working harbour here, so there'll be people going up and down, and there'll be noises and things. But yeah, for now, I'm going to take the heat exchanger off. I'm going to take it home, and I'm going to clean it out just to make sure it's not blocked up with anything. And then I'm going to take the water pump off. We'll take the impeller out it and put a new one in, and we'll service that and give it a clean. To do that, actually, I'm going to have to put some lights in so that you guys can see, because it's a really dark hole down in the engine bay, and it was never meant for filming in, so there's going to be some really interesting video angles. So bear with me and I'll see what I can do. As I said, it's absolutely stunning today. Unfortunately, there's not a breath of wind, so we've got to get the engine on just to steam over to the harbour. But aye, it's not really a hardship on days like this. It's absolutely gorgeous. In one of our previous videos, we were talking about whether to get a catamaran and things, and one of the followers messaged me and suggested a really good idea. He suggested that a lot of YouTubers contact marinas up and down the country and ask them if they've got any boats that have been abandoned or any that are going really cheap. And it's not something I'd heard of before, but it got me thinking, and I watched a few other channels, one in particular, Sailing Seabird, and the guys over there, they went to France and sold their original boat, and they bought this 50-year-old boat for €1, and they've spent the last 4 years repairing it and replacing a lot of broken parts, and they've done a huge amount of work to it. And I watched from the very beginning right through to where they are now. I was completely engrossed in it, and I love the way they do things. They're absolutely brilliant. So it really got me thinking, could I get a catamaran and how would that work? So what I've done is I've set myself a goal of getting a catamaran for £1,000 or under. Now that's going to be just a catamaran. It's no getting it home, and it's no any of the repairs or things, because like the guys in Sailing Seabird, it's something I'll do over a few years. The boat does have to float, and I do have to be able to get it home, whether I put an outboard on it or whether the engines on it actually work. So the plan is to email marinas and harbours in Britain and France, Holland and Norway, and see if I can get any of these abandoned catamarans. As I said, it's not something that had occurred to me before, and it might not work, but I've got an email drafted explaining who I am, what my experience is, what I intend to do, and asking, have you got any that are abandoned, or do you know of any that the owner might let it go for £1,000 or under? If it's in France, Holland or Norway, obviously the £1,000 won't be included in the travel expenses. That's just for the boat. And what I intend to do is take you along on the journey, looking at the boat, looking through boats online, that might be an option, and then looking at the boat that I go to see and take you through me servicing it, repairing it, and then getting it home. And then over the following years, like sailing Seabird, you know, I'm kind of stealing an idea a bit, but it's a great idea. And you know, I sat and watched every single episode. I binge watched them. I'm not going to say that I'm quite as appealing as they two guys, because they're brilliant, but the idea is brilliant as well. So that's what the plan is. If you guys know of anybody that's selling a cheap catamaran, or that would be prepared to let one go for under £1,000, even if you know of one that's just lying there rotting, just send me a link and I'll have a look at it. And then in future videos, you know, we'll go through everything that I find. But yeah, I'm really excited about this, and I think it could be good entertainment for subscribers and things. So if you have not already subscribed, please jump on, hit that subscribe button, hit the bell icon so that you get updates every time I put a new video up, and we'll see where it goes from here. I don't know if you can hear that, but the engine's been stopped running now for about an hour, and there's still that back pressure on it. So I'm going to take this off. I'll take all this off and all these down here. I've remembered to turn off the seacock, thankfully, so we won't get a geyser or a geyser of water shooting as soon as I start taking this out. But what I did notice was, I don't know if you see this bracket here. This is for the uplift pump to take the engine oil out the sump. And this here is loose. This nut has came off. And I've had just a wee drip of water coming in, and I couldn't quite figure out where it was. And this nut has come off over the last month or so. And if you look down there, you can see the washer of it. So it's really lucky that I'm actually starting to strip things out of this engine and get everything put on properly. I'll get all this taken off. I mean, this goes down into the exhaust. So I'll get all these Jubilee clips taken off, and then I'll get this heat exchanger out. And then this here is the pulley wheel for the water pump. I'm going to take this off as well, but I'll do it a bit at a time. All this needs to come off here. And then I'm going to put a raw seawater filter onto it, because there's nothing coming into there's nothing to stop just seaweed and things coming straight into this at present. I mean, this is where the raw seawater comes in here and then comes into the engine on this. So I'm going to replace this hose as well, and I'm going to have a look at replacing this, and I'll put one of the new baskets on with a strainer on it, and that way I'll be able to see at a glance whether it's blocked up or not. I mean, this is an old engine and it looks really rough, but it's not as bad as it looks. It's definitely worth saving. So all you guys that have said to me, look, it's a money pit, just put a new engine in there. I mean, it does look rough, but I've already bought a lot of parts for it. As I said, the oil filter here, that doesn't get made anymore, so I had to send away to Germany and buy an adapter plate for it so that I can put a new modern oil filter on it. So that will be getting replaced soon as well. But I think I've got a bit of an emotional attachment to this wee engine, because she's run for the best part of 50 years. So she deserves a bit a bit of a second chance and some TLC and a lot of tidying up. I think there's been a lot of people over the years just done quick fixes on her. So it's time to address those quick fixes and make them permanent, proper fixes. Obviously the rocker cover and things will be getting off. One of the main problems with these old BMC engines is these rocker covers. They get cranked down too tight and they tend to twist and they'll warp slightly, and you'll get a bit of oil dropping out into the bilge through that. So I've got a new rocker cover ordered for it, because I don't know if you can see, this beam here is the deck in the cockpit. This is the centre bar between the two boards that lift, and over the years it's been dripping onto here and it's got that rust there. So as I said, I've got a new one ordered, but if you take this off and have a look, there's no condensation in there, there's no mustard. She's actually quite a clean wee engine. She's just got some cosmetic rust or surface rust that needs addressed, and a few permanent fixes rather than years and years worth of quick fixes. But anyway, I'll take this off and I'll bring these back in. We'll see how it goes. As I said in previous videos, she's needing a bit of tidying up. This thing's, you know, it was quite a hard winter for her. This here, in fairness, this was my fault. This happened during Storm Eowyn, and I put a big heavy rope onto here, and she was getting thrashed up and down, and it eventually broke the brass screw. I'm lucky that there was a backing plate on it, so I can just put another one on. In fairness, I should have put a spring on her rather than just have her banging off of that rope and shock loading it, because eventually it snapped. And this here, I think I'm actually going to replace this with mahogany rather than just pine. I'm not 100%. What do you guys think? Does it just need a good stain and a good few coats of yacht varnish, do you think? And then things like this here, I don't know what caused that, but that's right through to fiberglass. So I'm going to have to get some gel coat repair, get some fairing compound in this and then repair it. And then up here, just up in here, I don't know whether to replace that or just to sand it and fill it, and then, as I said, yacht varnish or something. But she's needing a bit of tidying. And then one of the jobs for this week, since it's going to be over 15 degrees most of the week, is we're going to get this hull sanded and we'll get it primed, and then we'll get some 2-pack epoxy paint on it. I think we're going to have her red from the waterline up to about here, and this pinstripe that we've got that's red just now will be white, and then from the rub strip up will be white, and then on the deck we'll have, I don't know if you can see that rope there, that kind of royal blue. We've got kiwi grip for the deck and some blue dye, so we're going to try and get it to be a nice royal blue. So I think that'll look really good, but she's needing some TLC first. She's needing a good bit of sanding and some filling in places. But for to say that she's 1972 she was made, for to say she's that old, she's over 50-year-old. She's actually in really good shape. just as I said, some TLC and a bit of time, and she will make a fantastic boat for somebody. She's, is it 31 or 32 feet long, and she's got this hard dodger in her. This here, this yellow, this does my head in a bit, so that'll be changed. And I've got some window wiper motors. You can buy them, just kind of generic ones that fit in here, just as long as the window's big enough. So I've got some wiper motors and some wiper blades that'll go on there, because as soon as it starts raining you can't see anything out the front, and I find that I'm peeking my head out round here to try and see where I'm going, and just getting blasted in the face with the rain all the time. Aye, she's good and watertight. As I said in a previous video, definitely need to get a locker built for the gas. I don't know if you see the two strips of grey there. I think there was one in there originally, and it's just over the years it's rotted and fell off. So I'll get one replaced in there, and that will stop the gas from getting thrown up and down. One of the other plans, as I said before, is to replace these windows, because this porthole, as beautiful as it is, it causes an awful lot of condensation inside. And then this polycarbonate here, I just seen a big tongue and teeth and I couldn't work out what that was. It's one of my dogs looking through the other side. Aye, as I was saying, this polycarbonate is just crazed with the years of sunshine, and this rubber isn't great. It's went brittle and it's leaking. You can see where it's shrunk and it's leaking through here. So I'm going to replace that, and I'm thinking one big length of polycarbonate right along here, and seal it and put bolts all the way around it. The only thing I don't know is whether I want to continue that right along to here. If I'm replacing that one porthole because it's condensating all the time, I might as well just bringing it all the way along and having a huge amount more daylight coming in there, because it is actually quite dark inside. What do you think? Do you think it needs the whole thing replaced, or just up to here? Would that look daft with just a wee porthole in here? This hatch up here, I think I'm going to replace that, as it doesn't let a lot of light in. But we'll see. It's one of those things, you know, how far do you go? But to me, she is a beauty. She's absolutely gorgeous, and one of the best things that's ever come into my life. So, aye, definitely a lot of upgrades on the cards for her. These winches, this one's definitely, at the very least, it's needing a service. But I think I'm going to get new ones for them, roughly the same size, but the ones that you can put the handle in the top and just crank it, because this one's definitely seen better days. And there's one on the other side as well. I'll replace that, and then there's two on the mast here. They'll get replaced, and then there's this windlass. It's got a winch on the other side, and to be honest, it's pretty useless. It'll move maybe 4 inches of chain at a time per winch, and by the time you get I've got 35 metres of anchor chain and 60 metres of rope. By the time you get that up on using that windlass, you would be into whatever rocks or whatever boats were in the area. So I find myself just yanking it up by hand. It's much faster. And then you've got to put it down that wee hole. And that wee cap that's on the hole just keeps on flipping back and forward. So it's a pain in the backside. So I think an electric windlass is definitely on the cards. So aye, bring it into the 21st century. Get some home comforts on it a wee bit, just to make life easier. But, you know, she's a work in progress. And we'll see how it goes over the time. Because hopefully we'll also have this catamaran project. There's a huge part of me saying, look, nobody's going to give you a catamaran for next to nothing. And if they do, they're getting rid of their problems. It'll take years to fix, you know. So I think the project for the catamaran is going to be challenging at the very least. But it's something that I could really get my teeth into. And over the years, you know, there's one down the Cornwall area. And it's about 40 foot long, and it's been lying for 5 years, and it's absolutely black-leaded. I would love to go down and get that one. He's wanting an awful lot more than £1,000 for it. And as I said in the previous video, the marina owner is making things quite difficult for the boat owner, because the guy's wanting a set amount of money for this boat, and then the marina owner is not going to release the boat to the new owner unless the new owner pays, I think, is it 2 or 3 grand's worth of mooring fees. And the engine got flooded, one of the engines got flooded, and the marina owner won't let the prospective buyer live aboard for long enough to fix that engine and make it seaworthy and things. So the boat would have to be towed away to another harbour straight away, and it's just hugely complicated, which is a real shame, because as I said in my previous video, if it was simple I would already have been down there and bought the boat. But anyway, we'll see how it goes. As I said, I'm really excited and I'm hopeful, but the realistic side of my head is saying, well, actually, it's probably not going to happen. Nobody's going to give you a catamaran for under £1,000. But I'll send messages to every marina and harbour from the north of Scotland to the south of England, over to France, through Holland and up into Norway and things. And we'll see how it goes. I'll keep you updated on it. And hopefully this could be a really good series in this channel. My other plans in the channel is I'm hoping to get to the stage that I can do lives, so that, you know, I can just throw the video onto live and I can work away on the boat and I can chat back and forward with people as I'm doing it. And then we have one of those routers with a SIM card in it, so when we're sailing in the Outer Hebrides and things, we can just go on live, and as I said, we can chat back and forward with people. And I think it'll be a lot of fun. Now, there's a couple of pieces that I've been meaning to get for a while now. I don't know if you see this here. It doesn't look like much, but what it actually is, and there's one here as well, is somebody's put a screw nail through there at one point, and it's actually been broken off. So every time I come up here, I put my hands onto this rusty nail. So it's about time for it to get ground away. And I managed to get this small thing. The battery doesn't last very long, and it's not hugely powerful, but it does what needs to be done, and it's not too noisy. Now, unfortunately, I cannot find the inside of that screw in the Dodger, so I'm going to have to fill that. and re-gel coat it and things, and just hope that it doesn't end up rotting or causing me problems in the future. But at least now it's no ragged and it's not taking chunks out of my hand every time I go past it. So we'll get this other one done as well. That's that nice and smooth, but I don't know if you can see. There's actually some bubbling there, so I'm going to go a bit further with it. That bubbling actually, it goes out a bit further, so I'll just clear this area until the bubbling stops. I don't know how well you can see that, but it looks like it's just paint that's bubbling. But I've got most of that off now, and the main thing is, as I said, these aren't ragged anymore and they're no catching my hands. So sorry about the noise. As I said earlier, this is a working port, a working harbour, so there's 3 fishing boats just getting ready to go out just now, and the guys are shouting to each other. But aye, as I said, that's much smoother and much more hand friendly, so I'll get that filled and I'll get it painted, and we'll be happy at that. Well, unfortunately I didn't get quite as much done as I wanted to do in this episode. So the heat exchanger and things will go on to the next one. As you can see behind me, it started to get dark and the temperature has plummeted, so I'll get back down and get the heat exchanger done, among other things, and that'll come to you in the next episode. I hope you enjoyed this one, and if you wouldn't mind, like, share and subscribe, as it really helps the channel out. And let me know what you think about that catamaran project. As I said, I'm really excited about it, although I am a wee bit sceptical that I can pull it off. So let me know what you think, guys, and thank you very much for watching.